In the winter of 2013, the streets of Kyiv roared with a restless energy. Ordinary Ukrainians, bundled in scarves and coats, waved flags of blue and gold, demanding a future free from the shadow of Moscow. The Euromaidan protests were born from hope, the hope that Ukraine could step closer to Europe, to democracy, and to independence unshackled by Russian influence. But across the border, in Moscow, leaders watched with unease. Ukraine's pivot westward was seen not as a choice, but as a threat. To them, Ukraine was more than a neighbor. It was part of history, part of identity, part of a buffer between Russia and the West. The protests grew, and in 2014, the unthinkable happened. Ukraine's pro-Russian president fled, and a new government took power. Almost immediately, Russia acted. Crimea, with its strategic ports and historical ties, was seized and annexed. The world protested, but the annexation had already changed everything. In eastern Ukraine, in the regions of Donetsk and Luhansk, whispers of rebellion turned into gunfire. Russian-backed separatists clashed with Ukrainian forces, and a low-intensity war simmered for years. Lives were lost, cities scarred, and families torn apart. By 2021, the tension was palpable. Russia amassed troops along the Ukrainian border. Diplomats spoke in urgent tones. Leaders warned of catastrophe. Then, before dawn on February 24, 2022, Ukraine was shaken awake by explosions. Missiles tore through the sky. Airports burned. Cities trembled. Russian forces crossed Ukraine's borders from every direction. Moscow said the operation would be limited. The scale of the attack proved otherwise. In Kyiv, sirens screamed through empty streets. Families fled. Others went underground. A war many believed impossible had begun. Russian columns moved fast toward the capital. Their objective was clear: end the war in days. But Ukraine resisted. Supply lines stretched. Convoys stalled. Ambushes followed. The capital stood. By April, Russian troops pulled back from northern Ukraine. In towns they left behind, civilians lay dead. The war crossed a point of no return. The battlefield shifted east and south. Mariupol was surrounded, cut off, bombarded without pause. Hospitals were hit. Shelters collapsed. When the siege ended, the city was broken. Across the Donbass, towns followed the same fate. Survival became a daily struggle. In late 2022, Ukraine struck back. Entire regions in the northeast were liberated in days. Months later, Russian forces withdrew from Kherson. It was the first major city Ukraine reclaimed. The message was clear: this war would not be one-sided. The fighting slowed, not because it weakened, but because it hardened. Trenches carved the land, artillery ruled the battlefield. Bakhmut, Avdiivka, names that became symbols of destruction. Russia targeted Ukraine's power grid. Winters grew darker. Ukraine answered with long-range strikes. The war became a test of endurance. Millions were forced from their homes. Children grew up amid sirens. International investigators documented executions, torture, and deportations. Russia rejected the findings. The consequences spread far beyond Ukraine. Food prices rose. Energy markets shook. This conflict reshaped the world. By 2025, the war had entered its fourth year. Diplomacy continued. Fighting did not stop. Ukraine demanded security and sovereignty. Russia demanded control and guarantees. No final peace was reached. The war in Ukraine became the longest war in Europe since World War II, and its final chapter has yet to be written.